This here is Maddie, who is, I don't want to say the good dog, who's now going to drool all over my lap. It's time to wash my jeans anyways. So Maddie, her problem was she was actually trying to correct the other dogs when they were out of balance. And that's actually what happens in a normal dog pack. The dogs don't allow other dogs to get all anxious and whiny and out of control. And she's the most in control dog here. So I think this has been very stressful for her. The family here, at the end of the session, this is our roadmap to success. One of the things I want them to work on is achieving calmness for the dogs. So we can do this in a whole lot of ways. We can not pet the dogs when they're excited. Instead, we can pet them with a purpose. We can use passive training. Every time the dogs engage in a desired action or behavior, they come to us on their own accord, and we pet them and say, come. For the insecure dogs, we want to pet them under their chin so their nose goes up in the air. A proud dog has his nose up in the air. When you pet a dog on top of their head time, we want to practice the focus exercise. Everybody in the family should be practicing the focus exercise once a day with each dog. Now we want to have about 8 treats or so, 8 to 12 treats each time we do this. At first, 1 second, then eventually 1 second, up to 20 seconds, or get to 20 seconds. And the dogs will be on different schedules, so we're going to go at the dog's pace, not at our pace. But that exercise really is cumulative, so we want to really try to do that a little bit at a time, or add it, do it every day, but add a little bit each day. You can hold on a sec. We're going to start letting the dogs out of the kennel calmly, and we're going to relocate the guardian's suggestion that they need to move the kennels in the basement. I think would be appropriate because right now it's too close to the dinner table. When we release the dogs, I would release them in the order that of calmness. And at first, just they have to lay down. And as soon as they lay down, we say you can come. And then eventually, we want them laying down. I'm worried you're going to chew my finger off. There we go. And eventually, we want to, after they lay down, we're going to wait a couple seconds before we give them the come command. And then work to the point where you can open all 4 kennel doors and walk away, and the dogs know that they're not allowed to come out unless they get the command word. We're going to make sure that we start paying attention to when we're petting the dogs and not petting them when they nudge us. That's the petting with a purpose. And let me see, what else? We want to incorporate rules and boundaries. You're going to have to sit at the door before I let you out. If the dog, if one dog sits at the door, that dog can go outside. The other dogs can't. They have to wait. We walk away, wait 1 minute, then come back and say sit 1 time. Whoever sits within 3 to 5 seconds, they get to go out. The other dogs have to wait. Next time we walk away for 2 minutes, then for 4 minutes, then for 8 minutes. Dogs should not be near the table when there's food. Now we have 4 dogs. There's high energy, so we would practice that 1 dog at a time, and have just a little piece of roast beef that we microwave. We set the table like it's real dinner. Maybe we set that before dinner. And then we put the piece of roast beef and we cut it up and put it on everybody's plate. And we pretend like we're eating dinner so we get a chance to practice. Whenever your dog's doing something you don't want it to do, you want to break down the activity into something you can isolate and practice one at a time. Most of us try to train our dogs while we're living our life. And that's a really difficult way to do it because especially when we have 4 dogs, and we're very distracted. So we practice with 1 dog at a time until that dog has the behavior down that we want. Then we practice with the next dog. When we get 2 dogs that are both good, we bring those 2 dogs together. Then we bring the 3rd dog in. We gradually add to them like we're building a cocktail until we can have all 4 of them and they know what to do. And that's easier for us to process. We're going to ask the dogs to sit and wait as we go up or down the stairs. We're going to practice the little exercise at the door where we put the dog in a leash and we open the door. And again, at first we might just reach for the door. And eventually we can reach for the door and jiggle the handle. Then we reach for the door, jiggle the handle, and open it a crack. We're going to break it and do these in small steps and go by the dog's pace, not by our pace. For both Capone and Stitch, we're going to use counter conditioning, which is letting the dog chew on the object while we turn on the hairdryer or the paper shredder or whatever it is. But we're going to make sure that the distance is far enough apart so the dog doesn't immediately react to it. So first give the dog the treat, let him start chewing on it. I use the tricky trainers because I can squish them and they're nibbling little pieces of it off. Then we nod or we come up with a code. The person turns the hairdryer on for a second and turns it back off. Then 2 seconds and 4 seconds. And we get up to the point where we leave it on and he's just ignoring it at this distance. Then we do the high intensity, the higher volume or speed for the vacuum cleaner. A little dog's dribble on my nose now. But we're going to do that for anything the dogs are reactive to. Let's see. We want to definitely make sure that we're getting Charlie more exercise. So we're either going to get our the family's son a skateboard or some rollerblades and see if he can take the dog out dog skiing. 3 revolutions around the neighborhood and he was pretty pooped. The energy was much different. When his energy gets up, that would be a good time to take him out. And again, make sure that when we're practicing with the dogs, we're doing it 1 dog at a time. Don't make it too hard for you. And if you get frustrated, take a break. We want to make sure this is a positive, happy experience for the dogs. I'd like you guys to get into a habit of not walking around the dogs instead of walking through the dogs, so the dogs get used to deferring to us. If the dog jumps up on our lap, we're going to immediately stand up. We're going to use the escalating consequences to disagree with the dogs. Remember, the first thing is we hiss, then we stand up and turn to face the dog, wait for it to be stationary, then take a step backwards as soon as the dog's stationary. When we use the third consequence, we're going to march at the dog until it turns sideways, and then go to the second consequence and pivot and wait for the dog to be stationary, then take a step back. Make sure every time the dog sits or lies down that you take a step back right away. That's a way of communicating that sit or whatever the dog did was what I wanted. Because you did it, I moved further away from it. Let me see, we didn't talk about establishing boundaries. I get the feeling we might actually need to come back for a second session with this family. They're good dogs. I just don't think that they really have the right understanding of what was expected from them. So now the humans know kind of how to communicate. They have a little bit more of a vocabulary. And speaking of vocabulary, we're going to use a word vocabulary, or whatever the watchword is that the humans want to use. If one person is saying come, somebody else is saying come here, we're going to consolidate, come up with a consistent list of commands, so we're all saying the same one, and we're not using overinflection. We're not going to let the dog sleep in the guardian's bed anymore. We're going to have them start sleeping in the kennels. When you make this transition, they are not going to like it. They are going to protest. You have to let them stay the whole night in the kennels. If you have to, get a hotel room and go stay outside the house, as long as we don't have to worry about them breaking out of the kennels or doing damage. But if they're whining and we let them out of the kennel, we're just teaching them. The only way all you have to do if you want to get out of the kennel is just whine and we'll let you out. And we don't want to let them out of the kennels when they're excited. Let me see, what else? I cover a lot. This is, I think, about a 4-hour session, so I've covered a little bit more. If you have questions, I want you to call me. I'm available to my clients. I want you to call. If I don't hear from you, I assume that everything's going great. But try to increase the exercise, especially for Capone and Charlie, to put them in a position to succeed because they're not overstimulated. Don't let Stitch block access to the guardian. So when we have people come over, putting Stitch on the leash like we did today would be a good way to approach it. Now, what I did was I used a little positive reinforcement. When you have guests come over that are unknown, I would maybe have Stitch on the leash, have him a little bit away from the door. We want him to be calm. And then have the person just kind of come in, hand them a treat, and then toss a treat towards Stitch. Let him get it. It might be helpful to practice having the dogs people come to the door and practicing with one dog at a time, so the dog can kind of get used to that interaction, especially for Stitch since he's the one that might nip. We just toss a treat, let him have that, and if he looks stiff or he's holding his breath, he's saying I'm uncomfortable. Wait for him to relax a little bit. Then we can have the guardian come over. Or the guest come over. The guest shouldn't go stick their hand in front of his nose or try to pet him and show him I'm a good person. Drop a treat or toss a treat, toss another one. Then when they come in, have them just walk in the living room and drop like a treat every 2 or 3 steps. And then after the guest sits down, then we lead Stitch over to where those treats are. And Stitch is like, when guests come over, man, they got holes in their pockets. They're dropping these high-value treats. Can we get some more guests over here? So we use positive association to help them feel better about it. Let me see. I think that's about, I'm sure that I'm missing a lot of stuff. I talked about the focus exercise? Yes, we did talk about the focus exercise. Oh, stay. Practice the stay. Again, first for duration, then for distance, then for distraction. The gentleman that I got my technique from, if you Google teaching any dog the perfect stay, it's kind of, it'll have like color bars of all pink, and then he comes in and he's like, one of the things, he's black hair, he's got kind of bug eyes, I don't mean that disrespectfully, but he uses a zoom camera, which isn't probably the most flattering image. But first practice for duration, get up to 5 minutes. Then start moving away from the dog, come up with a release word like release or break, and eventually do it while we have the vacuum cleaner going on and other things that are going on the dog normally would react to, so that they can learn to stay even though there are distractions that are going on. One last little thing, I find that when we teach dogs, we really help them build their confidence. So we have some dogs that aren't the most confident. Maybe a good idea would be for everyone in the family to go to YouTube and find 1 or 2 dog tricks or commands. When I don't want my dogs to go forward, I say charge. When I want them to go backwards, I say retreat. Most people just think of roll over and fetch and play dead and those sort of things. Those are great, but you can also give useful commands like wait at the stairs, business, pleasure, like we talked about. So maybe each week, one person picks one trick or command and then teaches each dog separately, then shows all the humans the command and how to do it. And then all week long, we practice that one command with each dog. And then at the end of the week, the next human picks another trick or command. and teaches the dog. So we have 4 people that regularly in the house. So if we do this, maybe each person teaches 2 tricks. Now the dogs have 8 new tricks or skills that will help boost their self-esteem. So that's basically our roadmap to success for this one. Like I said, if there are problems or things the dogs can't do, back up, make it simpler, look for ways to create positive association with it, and reduce the intensity so the dogs can deal with it without reacting. All right, that's the roadmap to success for these dogs. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.